The boy who built his own future. In the quiet town of Millfield, Ohio, the winter winds often carried the sound of train whistles across the frozen fields. It was a small American town where everyone knew each other's names, and life moved slowly between the rhythm of school bells, church gatherings, and the humming engines of pickup trucks driving down old country roads. But for one boy growing up there in the early 1980s, life was never simple. His name was Daniel Brooks. Daniel lived in a tiny white house on the edge of town with his mother. The paint on the wooden walls had begun to peel, and the roof leaked whenever heavy rainstorms passed through Ohio. Money was always tight. His mother worked long hours at a local diner, pouring coffee for truck drivers and factory workers who stopped in during the early morning hours. Despite her exhaustion, she always told Daniel the same words before leaving for work. "Daniel, your future won't be built by luck. It will be built by your choices." At the time, Daniel didn't fully understand what she meant, but those words would shape his entire life. A childhood of challenges. Daniel's father had left when he was only 5 years old. No one in town talked about it much, but Daniel knew the truth. Life had simply been too difficult. Without a father in the house, and with his mother working almost every day, Daniel learned responsibility early. By the age of 10, he was already helping neighbors with small jobs, mowing lawns, shoveling snow, carrying groceries. He didn't do it just for money. He did it because he understood something many kids his age did not. Nothing in life would be handed to him. At school, Daniel was quiet, not because he had nothing to say, but because he spent most of his time thinking about machines, thinking about how things worked. Whenever something broke in the house, Daniel would take it apart. Old radios, broken clocks, even the vacuum cleaner. Sometimes he managed to fix them. Sometimes he made them worse. But every mistake taught him something new. One afternoon, when Daniel was 12 years old, his teacher, Mr. Anderson, noticed him staying after class. Daniel was carefully examining an old broken projector the school had thrown away. Mr. Anderson smiled. "Trying to fix it?" Daniel nodded. "I just want to see how it works." The teacher watched him for a moment before saying something Daniel would never forget. "You know, Daniel, curiosity is the beginning of every great invention." The first big dream. A few years later, Daniel's life changed in a way he never expected. It happened during his school field trip. His class visited a large automotive factory in Detroit, Michigan. For most students, it was just another school trip, but for Daniel, it felt like stepping into another world. Massive machines moved like giant mechanical arms across the factory floor. Sparks flashed as metal was welded together. Conveyor belts carried parts that would eventually become cars driving across America. Daniel stood there, amazed. He realized something in that moment. Every machine around him had once existed only as an idea in someone's mind. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the machines, the engineers, and the possibility of creating something that could change people's lives. For the first time, he allowed himself to dream bigger than Millfield. He wanted to become an engineer. The hard road ahead. But dreaming was the easy part. Reality was different. Daniel's family had no savings for college. His mother could barely pay the bills each month. One evening, while sitting at the kitchen table doing homework, Daniel finally asked the question he had been afraid to say out loud. "Mom, do you think someone like me could ever go to college?" His mother looked at him carefully. Then she placed her hand on his shoulder. "Daniel, your future doesn't depend on where you start." She paused before continuing. "It depends on how hard you're willing to work." Those words lit a fire inside him. From that day forward, Daniel worked harder than ever. He studied late into the night. He read every book he could find about engineering, machines, and technology. But he also kept working small jobs around town. By the time he turned 17, he had saved nearly every dollar he earned. It wasn't much, but it was a beginning. The opportunity. During Daniel's final year of high school, something unexpected happened. Mr. Anderson, the same teacher who had once seen him fixing the broken projector, called him into the classroom after school. "I have something you should see," the teacher said. He handed Daniel a flyer. It was for a National Engineering Scholarship program. The scholarship would cover nearly the entire cost of attending a major university. Daniel's heart started racing, but then doubt crept in. Thousands of students across the country would apply. Why would they choose someone from a small town like Millfield? Mr. Anderson seemed to read his thoughts. "Daniel," he said firmly, "the world doesn't care where you come from. It cares what you can do." For weeks, Daniel worked on his application. He wrote essays about his life, his struggles, and his dream of building machines that could help people work faster and safer. Then he sent the application and waited. The letter that changed everything. Months passed with no response. Daniel began to believe the scholarship committee had chosen someone else. But one cold March afternoon, while walking home from school, he saw his mother standing outside his house holding an envelope. Her eyes were filled with tears. "Daniel, this came for you." The envelope carried the logo of the Scholarship Foundation. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper. The words were simple. "Congratulations, you have been selected." Daniel couldn't speak. For the first time in his life, the future felt real. Building the future. College was not easy. Daniel moved hundreds of miles away to attend a large university in Illinois. Everything felt different. Bigger classrooms, harder courses, and students who seemed far more prepared than he was. During the first semester, Daniel nearly gave up. But each time he thought about quitting, he remembered his mother's words, "Your future will be built by your choices." So he kept going. Late nights studying, long hours in engineering labs. Slowly, Daniel began to catch up. Then he began to excel. By his final year, he had developed a small mechanical design that improved efficiency in factory assembly machines. One professor encouraged him to turn the design into a real product. That idea eventually became the foundation of Daniel's career. A new chapter. Years later, Daniel Brooks would become a respected engineer working with manufacturing companies across the United States. The machines he helped design would make factories safer and more efficient. But no matter how far he traveled, Daniel never forgot where he came from. One autumn afternoon, nearly 25 years after leaving Millfield, he returned to his hometown. The town looked almost exactly the same quiet streets, the same old houses. But one place meant more to him than anywhere else: Millfield High School. Daniel walked into the classroom where Mr. Anderson had once taught him. Standing in front of a new group of students, Daniel shared his story. He told them about poverty, doubt, and the long road to success. Then he ended with the same lesson his mother had given him years ago. Your future isn't something you find, it's something you build. And in that moment, Daniel realized something powerful. His story had never been just about machines. It had been about possibility, about hope, about proving that no matter where someone begins in life, the future can always be built, one choice at a time.